Welcome to this week's edition of the Seekonk Speedway Race Day Rewind, produced by Souza Media, where we recap all the weekend's racing as part of the 75th anniversary season of the Action Track of the East. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another edition of the Seekonk Speedway Race Day Rewind podcast. I feel like it's been forever since we've chatted with you here on the podcast. Our last podcast was a couple of weeks ago, and we're happy to be back here for another edition. We've had a busy couple of weeks. That's why we didn't have the podcast. We had a couple of races stacked on top of each other. I figured it would be best to wait and come to you here with all the race action in one as we wrap the month of July. We're now into the month of August and getting ready to crown our champions as part of our 76th season, but really our 75th as we continue to celebrate our 75th anniversary that was kind of ruined because of COVID last year. For those listening to the podcast for the first time, welcome to the show. My name is Kyle Souza, the owner of Souza Media. Those that are out there that have been listening weekly, welcome back to the series. We're going to recap 4 nights of racing, and I'm going to kind of do it rapid fire, just give you the top finishers from each of the events. Then we're going to use this as a mid-season update podcast, talk about the events we've had, the events that are coming up, and take a look at the championship standings in each of our divisions. So this is the first segment. We're going to run through the races from Friday night, July 23rd, Saturday night, July 24th, Shriners Night at the track. We had the inaugural Bay State Classic. We had talked about that in the last edition. $10,000 to win. Some of the best Super Late Model stars from there and the past series coming in, and our own drivers competing for $10K. We'll talk about who won that. And then, of course, the Fast Friday series on July 30th. Of course, July 31st, this past Saturday night, we did not have a Saturday night series. We had our Midsummer Thrill Show with the Great American Trailer Race, the Spectator Drags, the Power Puffs, the Enduros, and more. Great show there as well. So as I said, we're going to start with Friday night, July 23rd, and I'm going to kind of do this rapid fire, walk you through these nights on who picked up feature wins. July 23rd, Fast Friday night, Seekonk Grand Prix, Bandolero Bandits, and the Outlaws were on the track. Now, this was another one of the Friday nights that was kind of slowed down by Mother Nature. We had Mother Nature come through the area, soak the track pretty good. We were able to dry it and get going just a little bit late. And once we did, the Bandoleros were the last group of races on the track for the night. Again, this had already happened earlier in the year. Because of the track being just a little bit wet in certain spots and the Bandoleros being so small, we figured we'd put them at the end of the night. I'm going to start there, though, as there are youth divisions. The Bandolero Bandits and the Bandolero Outlaws, both sponsored by Seekonk Grand Prix. Again, July 23rd, the winner in the Bandits was Sam Macedo. Now, this was his second consecutive victory in the Bandolero Bandits, driving the number 16. He had picked up his first career win a week earlier. He matches it with his second career triumph. Darren Krantz Jr. was second. Krantz won the first 3 races of the season in the Seekonk Grand Prix Bandolero Bandit division. On July 23rd, he grabs a solid second-place effort behind the wheel of that number 31, and in third place was Ryan Vaness Jr. in the number 11. So if you look at Krantz, that was his second straight second-place finish. He had won the first 3 races, finished second in the next 2. For Macedo, who has had a really tough start to the year, the first couple weeks he was struggling, that was his second straight win. So congrats to him. Ryan Vaness Jr. Had come off a wreck the week before to grab a solid third. In the Bandolero Outlaws on July 23rd, it was Nick Chaber Jr. following in Macedo's footsteps to pick up his second straight win, this time in the Bandolero Outlaws, the drivers that are a little bit older of the Bandolero group. Second was Richie Helger Jr., who extended his points lead, and Stephen Bowden, an earlier winner in the season, third. So Chaber in the Outlaws and Macedo in the Bandits on July 23rd. Nick's Pit Stop Legends were back on the track once again, and you look back at that race. Of course, 4 races had already been in the books. This was the 5th race of the year, and at the checkered flag, it was the 4th win in 5 races for Luke LeBrun. The Nick Wiscola Racing driver really coming onto the scene hard this year. 4 wins in the first 5 races. He grabs this one. Josh Parsons was second, a great run for him in the Nick Wiscola Racing entry in this race. Car number 09 did a nice job coming home with a solid front-running position. And Rowdy Burns was also up there at the finish. So LeBrun continues to be the dominating factor in the Legends. Sport 4 action on July 23rd. Mike Eagle 4 crossed the line first on the track behind the wheel of the number 13. He did not, however, pass post-race inspection. That handed the win to second-place driver Tim Bolger Jr., his first win of the season, his second career. Crystal Murray was second after the DQ, and Matthew Peon was in third position. Now Murray opened up her points lead on this week as well. Crystal's got great runs. Early, basically all top 5 finishes here, minus 1 race to start the season. So on July 23rd, she grabbed the second. Nice run by her. And in the Helger South Coast Power Equipment Pure Stocks, Danny Massa picked up another win on the season. Massa had gone out and won the first 2. He had 2 races off the winning podium. Third place on June 25th. He wrecked on the 16th. Didn't really wreck. He had a mechanical failure. Let's say that. Rear end issue there on the 16th. So he rebounded on the 23rd and gets back to Everett's Auto Parts victory lane. Curtis Rolando was second, a former Youth Racing Association driver in our mini cups that went late model racing for a while and has come back to the pure stocks. Greg Perry, third, a former champion who continued his consistent run. So there you have July 23rd's races on Fast Friday. NASCAR Saturday, Shriners Night at the track. What a great night to see the clowns back, and no clowning around here for these guys. They actually competed in a Shriners race with a couple of adult trikes. It was Dylan Estrella and Ryan Vaness versus 2 of the Shriners, and the boss clown went out there and picked up the win. He kicked the butt of Estrella and Vaness. So fun to see that, and as they said in the clown area, no clowning around for him. Once we get to the racing and the track in our NASCAR divisions, career win number 99 for Radical Rick Martin. Big time victory there. 99 career wins at the 3rd mile. So congratulations to him, a big win. Mike Cavallero was second, and Barry Shaw Jr. continuing his torrent start to the season with a 3rd. In the Helger South Coast Power Equipment Sportsman, we had a Consi on this night. 31 cars showed up to the pit area. They did not all start. We had a Consi, and in the end, it was former champion Steve Axon taking down the win in the Helger South Coast Power Equipment Sportsman. Colby Lambert finished in second. His best career sportsman run, and Chad Baxter, the points leader, was 3rd. In the Everett's Auto Parts late models, Vinny Renegado, driver of the number 17, returned from trouble a week before when he had a mechanical issue on his car that sidelined him. He returns from that trouble and returns to Everett's Auto Parts victory lane in car number 17. Congratulations to Renegado picking up yet another win on the season. Taking a look at the win tally for car number 17, that was win number 3. Win number 3 on the season, so the first 3-time winner in the late models. Second place was Rowdy Burns, Jacob Burns from the Legend Cars, making a nice move to the late models here this year, coming home second, and Jerry DeCaspari Jr. was 3rd in the late model chase on July 24th. I'm going to get to the points championship battles here coming up in a later segment. You're going to want to hear about that in the Everett's Auto Parts late models. Pro Stock action on July 24th, Shriners Night at the track. No surprise, Dave Darling does it again in the Johnson's Landscaping Machine. Ryan Kuhn second, Rick Martin was 3rd at the finish, and Dave Darling goes back to Everett's Auto Parts victory lane. I've lost count of how many wins that is on the year. Congratulations to them. Kuhn, a very impressive second, and Rick Martin, again, impressive in 3rd. Martin's been strong here so far this season. Hasn't had the runs he quite needed all the time, but he's been there towards the front of the field, and another solid run for him on Shriners Night, July 24th. So, July 24th winners, Vinny Renegado of the late models, Dave Darling, the Pro Stocks, Steve Axon in the Sportsman, and career win number 99 for Martin in the trucks. Rick Martin's going to go for win number 100 this weekend, August the 7th. So, on to our big event of the schedule here, one of our big events, the $10,000 to win Bay State Classic for the Pro All-Star Series. Great field of invaders of Pass versus the Seekonk regulars. Before we get to that, though, the support divisions for this one, $1,000 to win for the INEX Legends. It was not a points race for the track, but Luke LeBrun storming onto the scene in car number 27. 88. That's his old number, 27. He runs that in some of the Nell car races across New England. But LeBrun in the Nicholas Kohler Racing prepared B&M Maintenance 88, Hedges Excavating, finish line grade on that car as well. He picks up the big $1,000 to win race in the Summer Classic, 30 laps. Giovanni Ruggiero was second, and 3rd place in this one, going to Josh Parsons. I believe Parsons was second and Gio was 3rd. Sorry about that. But Parsons and Ruggiero also on the podium with LeBrun. This was, of course, on Wednesday night, July 28th. Pass Modifieds made their debut at Seekonk. If you didn't see that, you missed a great show. They had a phenomenal race, kind of similar chassis-wise to our Sportsman, but very different in the way that they have modifieds bodies. They're modifieds. There's no fenders or anything like that. Great show. They ran about 13.5 second laps, I believe, around the track. And it was Ryan Ripley who took advantage and became a well-known factor here in the past mods at Seekonk, picking up the big win on July 28th. So Ripley and LeBrun win the qualifying races, per se, the support division events. And then the Path Series comes out, $10,000 to win. They had heat races and a consi. In the end, we ended up starting 32 cars. Yeah, that sounds crazy, but there was 32 Pro Stocks out there for a 150 watt, $10,000 to win race. One of the best Pro Stock races we've seen in many, many years at Seekonk. Great battle up front with a couple of our locals. Ryan Kuhn, we mentioned him finishing up front in the Pro Stocks on Shriners Night. He did some exceptional stuff in this one, in the Bay State Classic. A fantastic run behind the wheel of the number 72, the Everett's Auto Parts machine. So Kuhn ends up third in this one. Not quite enough to win the 10K. Second was DJ Shaw behind the wheel of the Shaw Race Cars entry. He always runs well at Seekonk, the former past champion, coming down one spot short of the 10K for DJ Shaw. And the winner of the $10,000 was Johnny Clark, the Clark Scrap Metal, number 54. Past regular and past points leader coming in, invades Seekonk and picks up the big win. Now, you want to talk about Dave Darwin. We've mentioned him in the Pro Stocks Weekly, dominating. David had a tough night. Went to the back in his heat race after some contact with Jake Johnson. He had to go through the consi and had to start deep in the field. He was able to work his way up, and David finished sixth, but not a dominant performance from him in this one. But a great field of past Pro Stocks. Great run by some of our regulars, able to get up there in the top 10. Of course, Dave Darwin, I mentioned, in the sixth position. Ryan Kuhn had a phenomenal run, had one of the cars to beat in this one, just not quite enough for him to get to the front and pick up a feature win in this big Bay State Classic, but he had a good run as well. And of course, some other Seekonk regulars that ran towards the front. You had Tom Scully Jr. in 11th. Freddie Estelle was 15th. Those are the Seekonk regulars inside the top 15. Clark won it, Shaw second, Ryan Kuhn third, Eddie McDonald fourth, and Derek Griffith fifth. Griffith going to get a ride in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series with Kyle Busch Motorsports coming up at the end of the year. So, a great show in the inaugural Bay State Classic on July 28th. One more night to go through with you, race recap-wise. July 30th, Fast Friday, no rain. And I'll quickly go through the winners there. Sam Macedo, we mentioned in the Bandits from the week before, his third consecutive win, the Seekonk Grand Prix Bandolero Bandits for Sam Macedo. Darren Krantz was second, Melania Shalosky third. In the Outlaws on July 30th, the other Bandolero division, it was Nick Chaber Jr. also grabbing his third straight win in that division. Brent Robidell, career best run in second, and Richie Helger Jr., hear that name all the time, in third, another podium run. LeBrun does it again in those legend cars. Luke LeBrun, a phenomenal run there, picking up his fifth points-paying win of the year, sixth overall with that big race from the Bay State Classic that was non-points. 6 out of 7 legend races at Seekonk have gone to Luke LeBrun. So, congrats to him. Reagan Parent was second, so close to his first career win, and Christian Eckes, ThorSport racing driver in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, coming down to compete for Scott Harkin Racing, had a nice solid third. The Pure Stocks, sponsored by Helger South Coast Power Equipment. Mike Hendricks picks up the big win, back to victory lane. Greg Perry second, and Timmy Ouellette third. Some consistent factors at the front of the Pure Stocks all year long. I'll go over that in the next segment. And in the Sport 4, Tim Bolger gets his second win in 3 weeks. Mike LaFord second, and Crystal Murray again in third. You've heard a couple of these drivers' names over and over and over in these race recaps all year. You're probably wondering where they are in the championship and where we're at with that. We're going to take a quick break. Then when we come back, I'm going to talk about those point standings, and let's evaluate where we're at the end of July, moving into August. You can also check out the point standings online at SeekonkSpeedway.com. So grab that, follow along with me here. We'll go through the divisions, and then we're going to welcome in the voice of Seekonk Speedway, Kevin Boucher, will be joining us here to discuss what's going on here on the Fast Friday slate and the NASCAR Saturday slate. We'll talk about where we're at and what he sees from the tower here in 2021. Stick with us. All right, welcome back to the show, and thanks for listening here as part of the Seekonk Speedway Race Day Rewind podcast. I know you're hearing just my voice right now. We're going to welcome in Kevin Boucher here in a bit. No driver guests as part of this podcast. We'll resume our driver guests next week as we get back to some weekly recap racing here at Seekonk. But in this segment, as we close the month of July and we head to the month of August, there's not many races left scheduled as part of our 2021 season. If you look at the Fast Friday slate, there are 7 more Friday nights on the schedule. And if you look at the Saturday night slate, there are only 6 more Saturdays on the schedule. So this is going to be, this is going to be tough as the season comes down to the end. Getting ready, we're going to start with our Fast Friday divisions. I'll walk you through some of the point battles and what's been going on over the year. Darren Krantz Jr. leads the point standings in the Seekonk Grand Prix Bandolero Bandit division. Now, Darren's got 3 wins in the opening part of the season here. Last couple weeks, he's been a little bit off, but a little bit off is second place for him. Sam Macedo, I mentioned, has 3 straight wins. But when you look at the points and the Bandits, Krantz leads Ryan Van Ness Jr. by 30 points. That is a healthy margin, 30 points. Krantz is ahead of Van Ness. Melania Shalaski is in third, and he is 2 points back of Van Ness. She is 2 points back of Van Ness. So our first female contender in the Bandoleros. We've got a lot of them, and Melania's done a fantastic job in that number 99, doing a great job to get up towards the front, still looking for her first Seekonk win. Maybe that'll come this week. But Krantz, well on his way to the championship there without a miracle. Van Ness, second with that wreck. He was close to Krantz, falling off a little bit. You never know what can happen. Van Ness 30 points back. Shalaski, she is 32 back. So we'll monitor the Bandit Championship as we get down. Sam Macedo is 4th in those standings after 3 straight wins. He had a terrible start to the year. I don't know what it was, but not up at the front in the early portion of the season for him. And now all of a sudden, here he comes. Macedo is a healthy margin back. He's about 50 behind in the championship, but we'll see over the last couple weeks of the season if he's able to rebound and get up there and battle for the championship. In the other Bandolero division, the Bandolero Outlaws, we've mentioned Richie Helger Jr. a couple times. A nice, comfortable lead for Richie Helger Jr. in the Seekonk Grand Prix Bandolero Outlaw division. He leads by 20, a little bit less than that, 18 points over Brent Robideau in the Seekonk Grand Prix Bandolero Outlaw division. Now, we've mentioned Richie Helger, as I said, a few times. That means he's been running at the front very, very often. Almost all podiums for him so far this year. Been one of the only drivers in this division that's been able to master the consistency front. And heck of a job to Richie Helger Jr. and his team to get up there. They lead again by 18 points. Still a ways to go, but he is the favorite in this division. Brent Robideau is second. Now, Brent's looking for his first career win in the Bandoleros, and I'm pretty sure it's going to come before the end of the year with the speed that he's had in that machine. So we'll monitor him over the final couple races of the season and see if he's able to get to victory lane. Also want to mention that third place is Jace Mungin. Now, Mungin had a nasty wreck over the last couple weeks, has rebounded, and not bad for Jace Mungin. Third place in the championship in his first year at Seekonk. So Helger and Krantz, your 2 leaders in the Bandoleros. In the Everett Auto Parts Sport 4 division, Crystal Murray shows the way. 2 feature wins on the season, a bunch of podium runs, and Crystal has a comfortable lead over Tim Bolger Jr. I guess no lead is comfortable in racing, but it is 16 points for Crystal at the top of the championship in that division. Dave Simpson Jr. is third. He has not won yet in this division in his career, but is only 30 back in the championship as he looks for his first win and his first championship here, all in one. LaFour is 4th, 38 points back as the former champion. Remember, I mentioned in the other segment he had a DQ there, and he gets no points for that. So he's 4th, 38 back. Crystal Murray showing the way in the Everett Auto Parts Sport 4. She is in prime position to become champion. The Helger South Coast Power Equipment Pure Stocks, a tough fight at the top. Bunch of names have been in the top 5 all year, but these 4 guys seem to have it figured out. Greg Perry, former champion, leads by 4 over Joey Morissette. Danny Masser is 3rd. Massa's 12 behind, and Timmy Ouellette is 3rd, tied for 3rd with Massa. He's also 12 behind. Those 4 drivers, Perry, Morissette, Massa, and Ouellette, to me are going to be the 4 that are going to decide the championship in the Helger South Coast Power Equipment Pure Stock. So monitor that here as we get down the stretch. Run, the Legends, no surprise. Luke LeBrun with all those wins, 5 out of 6 points races, leads, but only by 4. 4 points, that's it, hard to believe. Mason Tessier doing a nice job in the Scott Harkin Racing entry in the 2nd spot, 4 points back. A little bit of a feud going between the Wascola Racing team and the Harkin team. Friendly feud, I guess I would say. They haven't get into it on the track much at all, but they're both competitive teams. And right now, LeBron by 4 over Tessier. Devin Deshays is third, a former youth racing champion at Seekonk a couple years ago. 30 points back. Giovanni Ruggiero is 34 back in fourth, and Reese Bogue 46 back in fifth. LeBron and Tessier have separated themselves and probably going to decide that championship here as we get down the stretch run of the season. Barry Shaw Jr., as we move over to NASCAR Saturday. You've heard that name a lot this year. It is Barry Shaw Jr. at the top of the championship standings in the Chaz Auto Body Sport Trucks. 28 points over Radical Rick Martin. Shaw has 5 wins on the season. He's cooled off a little bit in the Sport Trucks. Hasn't been the fastest truck the last couple of times out by far, like he was at the beginning of the year. But championship-wise, he leads by 28 over Radical Rick. Mike Cavallero, former champion, is third, 46 back. I'll tell you, 6-7 races to go or so here. Barry Shaw, it's going to be tough to knock him off as he looks for the championship. In the trucks, Rick Martin is only 1 win away from win 100. We'll see if that comes on Saturday night in either the trucks or the pro stocks this week. Vinny Renegado and Jerry DiCasperi, I mentioned, they finished first and third, with Renegado winning and Jerry third in the last race on the docket. And as the season starts to wind down, they are the two that are deciding the championship. Renegado leads Jerry by 2 at the top of the title chase as we get set to go to the wire as the 2021 championship chase in the Everett's Auto Parts late models comes down the stretch run. Josh Hedges is third, 22 points back in the Hedges Excavating number 29. We'll watch him and those two battle and slug it out at the top. A lot of different winners this year in the Everett's Auto Parts late model division, a competitive class there. We will see how things play out in the Everett's Auto Parts late models. Helger South Coast Power Equipment is the proud sponsor of the Sportsman. It is coming up on Helger's night this Saturday. I'll get to that in a bit. But Chad Baxter is the leader of the Helger Sportsman division. 5 wins, but he's only got a 22-point lead. How the heck does that happen? 5 feature wins, only 22 points ahead for Chad Baxter. He leads Corey Fanning by those 22. Ed Perry is third, 28 points back. And those 3 drivers are pulling away from the rest of the field. All 3 have been consistently inside the top 5. Fanning does not have a win yet this year, but he's been consistent enough to be a factor as the championship battle starts to wind down. So Baxter leads Fanning by 22 in the Sportsman. We'll monitor to see what happened there as we get down the stretch run. Pro Stock, no surprise. Dave Darling, well on his way to his 8th championship. That would be a record. It's not over yet, though. A little bit of a different points format in the Pro Stock compared to our other divisions. Most of our other divisions, in fact, all of our other divisions, are 50 points to win, 48 for second, 46, 44, 42, 2 points on down throughout the field. The Pro Stock is opposite. So you get 2 points for every car that you beat on the track. So if it's a 14-car race, that means the leader gets 28 points. 14 times 2, 26 for second, 24 on down. So it's a little bit easier for somebody to make up ground if Dave Darling stumbles. But as we move on to what will be an exciting final few weeks here in the Pro Stock division, Dave Darling is definitely well on his way to that 8th championship. Ryan Kuhn is second, 30 points back for him, and the Radical one, Rick Martin, is third, 50 back. One of Rick Martin's better years in the Pro Stocks that I think we've seen in a while here during the 2021 season. So there you have our points update. I'll go through quickly just the points leaders. Darren Krantz Jr. in the Bandolero Bandits, Richie Helger Jr. in the Bandolero Outlaws, Greg Perry in the Helger South Coast Power Equipment Pure Stocks, Crystal Murray in the Everett's Auto Parts Sport 4, and Luke LeBron in the Next Pit Stop Legend Cars. Those are our Fast Friday points leaders. Barry Shaw Jr. in the Chaz Auto Body Sport Trucks, Vinny Renegado in the Everett's Auto Parts Late Models, Helger South Coast Power Equipment Sportsman. It is Chad Baxter and Dave Darling in the Pro Stock division. So there you have that. We're going to take a quick break. And while we're in the process of recording the podcast here inside the Souza Media studio, I'm now told that Kevin Boucher is not, unfortunately, going to be available to catch up with us as part of this edition. We'll see if we can get him on next week. But you're stuck with me on the Race Day Rewind podcast, talking about our mid-season. We're going to take one final break. When we come back, we're going to take a look at the upcoming schedule here at Seekonk and talk about some of those guys maybe that haven't won, that might win, and more. So I hope you're enjoying here. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue our discussion on the Race Day Rewind Report. Hey, welcome back to the Race Day Rewind. Our final segment here as we talk about the 2021 season and everything that is going on at Seekonk Speedway. We've run through our most recent race recaps. We've run through our point standings. Let's run through the schedule, let you know where we're at here as 2021 winds down. For those who are not aware, we stopped extra distance racing for the time being. I think it's been about a month since we did that because of the tire shortage. Yeah, that global tire shortage is affecting us right here at this level at Seekonk Speedway. It has shortened our situation as the 2021 season winds down here. So no extra distance races for any of our divisions. We've still been running, though, the Diamond Dash and the late models. The Phil's Propane Triple Crown Series races are now complete. We only have the finale of that series, which is going to be coming up here in a couple weeks. I'll go through that in a few minutes. So, no extra distance, but plenty of exciting racing coming up here, at least for the time being as the season winds down. Friday, August 6th, this week, we've got the Fast Friday series returning. Regular night of Fast Friday. August 7th, Helger South Coast Power Equipment night at the races. This was supposed to be the American Racer Pro Stock 75-lap race. Not going to happen, unfortunately, due to the tire shortage. We'll keep you updated on if we're going to do that later in the season. We're going to try to fit that in somewhere as the season goes along. But this Saturday, August 7th, is Helger South Coast Power Equipment Night at the races. Thanks to them, they're located in Westport, Massachusetts, offering you the latest and greatest in power equipment products at the best prices. Give them a call at 774-264-9550. 774-264-9550. So, Saturday night, August 7th, Helger's Night at the track. We do have a lot of exciting races also coming up. The New England Auto Racers, the New England Antique Auto Racers, the NAIR division is back with us for the first time and only time this year, giving you a throwback in time, so welcome to them. We've got the Sport Trucks presented by Chaz Auto Body, the Everett's Auto Parts late models, the Helger South Coast Power Equipment Sportsman on Helger's Night, and the Pro Stocks all back with us on Saturday night. And then Sunday, August the 8th, one of my favorite shows of the year, the Monster Truck Meltdown. Doesn't that sound exciting? Monster Trucks back at Seekonk. A freestyle and a bunch of other stuff going on there with the monster trucks. The first ever spectator drag showdown race. Now, the spectator drags have always been one-on-one, and that's it. Well, now they're going to race. I'm going to put a couple of them out there at a time, I think 4 or 5 at once, and let them race around the third mile and then crown a champion. So monitor that here Sunday, August 8th. Of course, that's all coming up this weekend, a triple header of racing. You can see more information at SeekonkSpeedway.com. To purchase tickets for that and any of our events, you can visit SeekonkTickets.net, SeekonkTickets.net for all of our events. You look ahead a little bit. Fast Friday will be back August 13th. Saturday, August 14th, one of my favorite nights as well. Everett's Auto Parts sponsors Fan Appreciation Night at the track. This is our annual Fans on Parade. Everybody go out there and enjoy Fans on Parade. Get your favorite driver a sign, anything. A t-shirt, a sign. You can walk around the track during the quick intermission for Fans on Parade. All fans on Fan Appreciation Night will also receive a complimentary hot dog and a Pepsi, courtesy of our friends at Everett's Auto Parts. So thanks to Everett's for that. I will definitely be grabbing my hot dog and Pepsi. Thank you to them. And again, Fan Appreciation Night coming up on the 14th of August. We'll have diamond races for both the Pro Stocks and the late models, though regular distance. Sportsman and Trucks will also be in action. And the Troy City Tactical Spectator Drags are back on hand. One more night I want to talk about. Well, let's go through the end of the year here. The Friday, August 20 and Saturday, August 21, that weekend is going to be Phil's Propane Triple Crown Weekend and Phil's Propane Weekend at the track. This is the finale of our Triple Crowns for all of our divisions. Regular distance Triple Crown races. 25 laps for the Nick's Pit Stop Legends and the Helger Pure Stocks. 15 for both Bandolero and 25 for the Everett's Auto Parts Sport 4s. But this is our Phil's Propane Triple Crown Series finale events coming up on Friday, August 20th, and then Saturday as well. 40 laps for the Pro Stocks, 30 for the late models, 25 for the Sportsman, and 25 for the Sport Trucks. This is the finale of the Triple Crowns. Of course, the way the Triple Crown system works, long story short, I'll make a long story short. Basically what they do, the winner of each of the first 2 Triple Crown races is in, and then the other drivers that accumulated the most points in those races also get in as part of the Phil's Propane Triple Crown Series finale. So coming up, the Triple Crown finalists on Fast Friday in the Bandolero Bandits, Darren Krantz versus Sam Macedo versus Melania Shawaski versus Mikey Lafort III. In the Bandolero Outlaws, Steve Bowden versus Nick Chaber Jr. versus Rich Helger versus Brent Robideau. In the Everett Auto Parts Sport 4, Michael Fort versus Tim Bolger versus Crystal Murray versus Matt Peon. In the Helgers Pure Stocks, Danny Massa goes up against Timmy Ouellette, Curtis Rolando, and Joey Morissette. And in the Knicks Pit Stop Legends, Mason Tessier will battle Luke LeBrun, Devin DeShays, and Josh Parsons. There's your Friday finalists. Saturday, August 21st, these drivers will go at it. Phil's Propane finale for Barry Shaw Jr., Rick Martin, Amy Arsenal, and Mike Cavallero in the Chaz Auto Body Sport Trucks. In the Helger South Coast Power Equipment Sportsman, Chad Baxter goes up against Ed Perry, Corey Fanning, and Craig Pianca. Oddly enough, those four in the Sportsman are 1, 2, 3, 4 in the championship right now. In the Everett Slate Models, Jerry DeCaspari, Chase Belcher, Josh Hedges, and Nick Uring will go up for battle. And in the Pro Stocks, Rick Martin, Tom Scully Jr., Ryan Kuhn, and Dave Darling going at it in the Pro Stocks once again for the Phil's Propane Triple Crown Series. That's coming up on August the 21st. We've got a lot of exciting racing, a little less than 2 months left here at Seekonk Speedway. Next week, we will return to our weekly podcast series, recapping the races from August 6th and 7th. We'll talk to at least one driver guest, and we'll try to catch up with the race voice, who, again, unfortunately not able to make it on here. He was hoping to make it with us, and unfortunately not able to make it onto the show. So that's going to do it in this edition of the Race Day Rewind Report. Want to thank everybody for listening. I've now updated you on where we are for the championship battles and more. Stick with us over the course of the rest of the 2021 season as we get ready to go racing at Seekonk Speedway. 2 exciting months of racing coming up. Thank God COVID's in the rearview mirror. Hopefully it stays that way, and let's get moving forward with the rest of the 2021 season. On behalf of Ed St. Germain, who's pushing all the buttons behind the scene, my name again is Kyle Souza. Check out Souza Media on Facebook, Souza Media on Facebook, and also check out kylesouza.com for all the latest news and information from Souza Media. And if you're interested in becoming a Souza Media client, reach out and let us know. Again, thanks to Ed for pushing all the buttons to get the podcast together. Thanks for you for listening. And I also want to mention that we have been voted inside the top 2 or 3 in the short track podcasts on Buzzsprout. So that's a huge testament to you, the fans out there, for listening and continuing to support the Seekonk Speedway podcast series. For now, stick with us over the rest of the season. We appreciate you listening. We will see you at the track here. Don't forget, you can buy tickets in advance. SeekonkTickets.net. You can skip all the wines or come to the track on race day. We will have tickets available for you there as well. See you soon.